I've been a Law and Order junkie for 20 plus years. Hallelujah! Special Victims Units is back. And it's its 25th year, so I just want to give out like a special shout out to Mariska Hargitay, who has played the character Olivia Benson, I think, for 25 years.
I mean, 25 years, that is astonishing.
I think it's record holding in the sense of the longest running held character in a dramatic series.
Wow.
I think probably ever. I think it's surpassed like ER, some of these other really long running ones.
Wow.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I mean, there's just ones you're like, what? 16 years. But
Grey's Anatomy, that's been on for a while, right?
Yes.
A little bit.
But that Meredith, the Grey, is no longer on it as a daily character. This has always been anchored by the character of, now it's Captain, before it was Detective Olivia Benson. And, you know, it's a special victims unit which specializes in like sexual natured crimes, and they're ripped from the headlines. This is created by Dick Wolf, who has had multiple spinoffs, and I mean, you can...
Well, this is a spinoff of Law and Order,
right?
So, yeah.
And it doesn't do the divisive Law and Order, where the first half is, you know, basically the police officers and the crime, and the second half is the law, which is then in the court. This is, you're really following Olivia Benson and her special unit through the whole entire case.
Right, to just figure out this one crime.
And there usually are DAs and other people involved. And there's obviously, like, Ice-T has been on now this series for, I don't know if he's in his 15th or 18th year as one of the detectives. So
was he not on in the beginning? I don't recall.
I mean, I have watched it from day one.
I feel like he was in there from the beginning.
He has been there for a very long time, too. God bless him. And he's great. But it's really about Olivia Benson and the challenges she faced and how she is such an advocate for victims. And I got to just say, you know, she just brings a gravitas now to that character of depth. I mean, how could you not? You've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you almost are like, who am I? You know, how do I separate myself? So this season started off with, you know, ripped from the headlines. It's very much of the moment, sex trafficking type of story. I'm not going to go into that because, you know, literally you can go on and probably watch all the new episodes of like all the Law and Orders and all the spinoffs. But out of all of them, Organized Crime is one now. The original Law and Order's back. I think currently there are 3 on the network. I watch them all back to back, but wow. Special Victims Units is my favorite. And they do a good balance of showing her and the other detectives' lives and how they're impacted by these horrific stories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Listen, the network does a good job too, because you're dealing with very sensitive topics, and they do a good job of being able to tell them with all the restraints of what's traditional network television versus like if you were on a streaming or cable, you could really go much further.
Which actually I don't think would be good.
They do such a good job, you typically don't need it. You know, what's implied and what's not shown, you understand enough. So really what I want to just give is the shout out, 25 years, the Special Victims Unit, Law and Order, and especially to Mariska Hargitay. She is a freaking rock star. She is now one of the producers on it, rightfully so. I mean, I don't really feel like you have a show without her. That's like, give more women opportunity in television. They can carry it. Hello. There you go.
Before you move on from SVU, can I just say, my husband Eric is a big fan.
What? We never talked about it.
I know. It's hilarious. It's more of a recent occurrence because he used to go to sleep. Like, he is one of those people who can have the TV on and like go to sleep. I can't at all. But he would have like the Alaska shows on the History Channel, like whatever those are. And I'd come into the bedroom and the lights are off, but this Alaska show is on. And I would get sucked into this Alaska show. And there's multiple Alaska shows, like whatever. And a couple months ago, maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, he somehow transitioned to Law and Order and Law and Order Special Victims Unit, but more Special Victims Unit, but he will just have it on. And then he wanted me to set up the DVR to record it so it could it filled up our DVR.
Yeah.
It was like instantly there were like 45 episodes. I was like, oh, honey, hold on a second. And he's like, oh, no. I don't need all of them. I just need to be able to like watch them, you know, and then it'll go to the next one. I'm like, okay, so I had to fix that. But he was very excited that it was coming back.
Yeah, it's great, but be careful. Yeah, you don't set my DVR is like set for new episodes only because you will have no space almost immediately. Because all those Law and Orders play
almost like marathon all day.
Yeah, and you know, I'm very good at watching those shows and knowing almost immediately who the criminal is because they will show you them and they're usually like
Oh yeah, based on casting,
they're
you can
very
tell.
helpful, but they're not. The suspect is not apparent at first. Yeah, and you're like, it's that person, and you're like, exactly. Also go like, that's your prestige of an actor for just that one scene.
Yeah.
So they're gonna come back in some significant way. So, and Mark's like, how did you figure it out? It's like, it is a formula.
Yeah.
It is seriously a formula.
Well,
at this point.
Eric too. He's funny. It never occurs to him who it is. It just is a different way of watching it.
It's shockingly obvious sometimes.
There's watching this to discover what's happening. You're the detective with them, or you could possibly be just be told this terrible, terrible story to. I'm not into either of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I watched the original series for a couple years. I think now I might chime back in if they did Law and Order Small Claims Court. That's about the level of crime I can handle. It'd be very irritating.